Talk995.com. You're watching on TV, you're definitely getting two different versions of this show. You're getting Valerie, a vision in pink, and me, all gray.
Yeah, I like your shirt. It's kind of psychedelic a little
So
bit.
it's psychedelic gray.
Yeah,
It's
and
almost
white.
like
It's got
like,
a little black in
like
it.
I'm in black and white, and you're in
See?
living color over there.
Is that it?
Yeah,
Is
I don't
that
know
how
what
that
happened.
works?
I don't know why I dressed this
I
way
just
this
decided
morning.
to go with something springy. I was feeling
You should.
springy.
Today should be wonderful with a high of 80. We got 81 today, really? Yeah, 81, 82 tomorrow, 83 on Thursday, and 84 on Friday with a 10% chance of rain. Chance of rain increases on Saturday, but we're not sure exactly what time of day it's going to be. So don't let that destroy your weekend plans. Just go ahead and keep those things rolling forward and just have a poncho and be ready.
Let's hope that it happens like it did maybe last week, where it's like overnight,
yeah.
Saturday night,
that'd be great.
and very, very early Sunday and be done.
It would
I
be
know
lovely.
the folks out at Talladega and Steve West is probably, that would be really
That'd be
nice.
nice. Make sure that everybody gets a couple of races under their belt this weekend. We don't have to push things off to Monday, because Monday may not be better. We don't really know.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Mr. Buggs bringing you portions of today's show. You know, when the rain does show up and the heat is here and you get that mugginess, and bugginess is the other word you're looking at, mosquitoes will begin swarming in your yard. Termites love to swarm at this time of year as well. If you don't have the right termite bond and mosquito reduction from Mr. Buggs, you are missing out on a truly wonderful experience. These guys have been taking care of me for years and years and years now, and I love it. The price is right. The service is fantastic. My boy Dave is going to be showing up any minute now, taking care of the inside of the house again. I know he pops by every 90 days or so and treats me right. And then, I got my mosquito reduction guy who shows up and handles the back here. He does the front and back. He does that every month throughout the course of the mosquito season. And then I got at least a couple of times a year, a guy comes by to check my Centricon system. They're really on top of it. They're the one thing, I don't have to worry about, and I love that. They don't enter my mind at all. I'm on an automatic draw for their taking, the little bit of money that they charge me every month. It's a real load off my mind to not have to worry about pest control and know that I'm never going to have pests and I'm not going to have mosquitoes and I don't have to worry about termites. That's what Mr. Buggs does for me. They are peace of mind. MRBUGGS.com, MrBuggs.com, or 844-MRBUGGS, 844-MRBUGGS. Mr. Buggs, they know what bugs you. All right, so what seems to be going on right now with Iran, we've got another day in this ceasefire, supposedly ends tomorrow morning, I guess, is two factions in Iran. You have the political faction and you have the IRGC. What exactly is that? Well, it's the Iranian Republican Guard Corps. It is like Hitler's SS, basically. They're the ones responsible for holding down the populace and doing some of the fighting, which they're not doing a very good job. They're not regular army, by the way. There is an Iranian army, and there was an Iranian Navy. They're all at the bottom of the sea. There was an Iranian Air Force. They're all grounded now. So the Iranian army is now next in line, just waiting to see what happens next. And this battle between the two factions of the political wing and the IRGC wing is where the problem lies, because I think the political wing is like, yeah, we should probably make a deal. And the IRGC is like, we're not making a deal ever. It's never going to happen. Get used to the idea. And you say, well, that's all well and good, but you're not trying to run a country that's in shambles, and it's going to be worse if we don't do something.
Yeah, and even Donald Trump has said as early as today that he does not intend to extend the ceasefire.
No.
So he's done playing games. You've had, before the war even started, you had opportunities to take advantage of that and come and figure this out with all your nuclear weapon capabilities. And they didn't do that. They played around. So Trump did what he did along with Israel to take care of it. And now they're back to the table playing again. I guess we don't learn lessons here, and we don't understand how powerful the U.S. is and Israel's military is as well. So, again, Donald Trump has done everything he can to run through this, do the diplomacy as best he can to figure it out so the rest of the world can say, look, they both tried. The U.S. tried to do this ceasefire. They tried to work with Iran, and they weren't coming to the table. So I think time's about to run out here.
Well, now the president, actually he's the parliamentary speaker, but he's kind of the guy in charge of the political wing of the party now, Mohammed Bagher Ghalibaf. He sent a direct warning to President Donald Trump. He did it on X.
Mm-hmm.
What, couldn't get on Truth Social? Is that the
I
problem?
don't.
Come on, let's go.
I think there's a direct phone line
go.
if you would like to
Come on.
speak with President Donald Trump.
He said Iran will not accept negotiations with the U.S. while under threat. By imposing a blockade and violating the ceasefire. Violating the ceasefire? You guys have been violating the ceasefire from day one when you closed up the Straits of Hormuz.
Yep, that was part of the ceasefire deal.
Yeah. To turn the negotiating table, he's trying to turn the negotiating table into a table of surrender or to justify renewed warmongering. We do not accept negotiations under the shadow of threat. And over the past 2 weeks, we have prepared to reveal new cards on the battlefield. They have new cards.
Battlefield cards.
They have new cards.
New battlefield cards.
Yes.
They're finally playing the game with us. I sunk your
cards.
battleship.
They have cards.
I've got battlefield cards.
They've got the Uno double reverse card. They're going to pull that one out.
Come on, Iran. Yeah, this is such a joke.
At what point are you going to realize that no matter what you try to deploy militarily, you're going to be thwarted? We are far more advanced than you will ever be. You know, we're using $1 million Tomahawk missiles to shoot down $35,000 drones. and you could say, well, that's not very cost effective. But the fact is, we have $1 million Tomahawk missiles, and all they have is $35,000 drones. So that speaks volumes about this. They have these sort of steerable scuds that they love to throw up there, these missiles that just kind of, they go where they go, and wherever they land, that's, you know, that's the best we can do.
It's even funnier that the verbiage that they've used. They said they're prepared to reveal new battlefield cards, as if they had battlefield cards to begin with.
That's true. You had none.
You didn't have any to start with.
Really
Now
didn't.
you're claiming you have some
but
new.
they dated back to like Vietnam and before.
Yeah.
I mean, this
little
is
bit out of date.
This is just too easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's why Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, has gone over to Pakistan. He's prepared to go back if he needs to. But as long as Iran keeps talking this way, there's no sense in J.D. Vance getting on a plane and flying back over to Pakistan.
Yeah.
There's nobody to talk to about this.
I agree.
I mean, this is where we're at with it. And, you know, this is just too easy.
Yeah.
But again, diplomacy many times works, and Donald Trump is trying his damnedest to make that happen. And you're just getting nowhere with Iran.
At this point, I think it's kind of a show for the rest of the world, as you said.
Yeah,
we want to be able to throw it out there and
here's
go like,
what we
look,
did.
hey, we gave it our best shot.
Yeah.
No one can say we didn't try. Look how hard we tried. And this is how we got repaid. So we went ahead and we decided to take out the bridges and the tunnels and the
And
power,
the power plants.
and get rid of all of that. And then they could figure out how to go from there. Plus, we know where these guys are. We know where the leaders are. We have a pretty good idea. We've got pretty good intel, obviously, considering the fact that every time they'd be like, here's our new leader, and here's our new leader. Okay, wait, we have another one.
Yeah.
Where did he go?
Yep.
He was here a minute ago.
And again, the ceasefire does equivocally end tomorrow. It's
Yes.
supposed to end tomorrow.
Done.
So, that's the 2-week ceasefire. And again,
You
you've got Iran saying they've got new battlefield cards.
We've got new battlefield cards.
Yee.
We're going to use them.
Yeah.
Watch
you know
out.
what? I feel a John Bell bit coming. Here it comes.
Okay.
The new battlefield
Why not?
cards.
Break 'em out.
I think this is it.
A little game of Iranian battlefield.
Your battleship.
New from Mattel. Parker Brothers. Work Trucks is downtown at 2324 3rd Avenue South. If you are in the need of a truck for your business, these are the guys you want to talk to. It may be something simple like just a delivery van, something to get your product from point A to point B. Maybe you need a big old box truck. Maybe you're looking for a flatbed. You need a workaholic. You need one of these big old utility body trucks to carry your tools around in. Whether you're an electrician, plumber, you're in the pest control business, whatever it is you do, if you're in need of a truck or a fleet of trucks, you can count on Work Trucks. They're going to set you up right because they know their stuff, and they bring them in from all over with a 125-point inspection, and they get them up to speed and put them on the lot at great low prices. Trade finance, get an extended warranty. It's all right there at Work Trucks with an X, LLC.com, WorkTrucksLLC.com. They are the Southeast #1 pre-owned work truck dealer. Work Trucks, 2324 3rd Avenue South. ZZ Top. Love them. 619 Dixon Inviting, Talk 99.5, talk995.com. Another one of those great groups that has the blues bass at the root of it all. In fact, the song that backs this one up is called Jesus Just Left Chicago. Classic blues-sounding piece of work. Speaking of which, the 15th annual Bob Sykes Barbecue and Blues Festival at DeBartolome Park is coming up this Saturday. 15th. They've done 15 of these. This will be the 15th. Very exciting. You got to grab your blankets. You want to make sure you got your lawn chairs. You got to have some place to sit so you can enjoy this great music from Rick Harris, Dexter Allen, Karen Wolf, Selwyn Birchwood, Lil Ed, and the Blues Imperials. Plus, of course, there is Bob Sykes Barbecue on hand. It is delicious. It is fantastic. And there's all kinds of other great vendors there as well. Some cool stuff to buy and see, and other enjoyable foods and sweet treats. Gates open at 11 o'clock. The live music starts at noon. Admission is $10 this year. $10. That is a great deal. Get your tickets now at bobsykesblues.com. bobsykesblues.com. Of course, we'll be giving away a pair of tickets a little bit later this morning as well. But it's this Saturday, DeBartolome Park. If you have never been to this event before, you need to go because it is truly a wonderful experience. If you have been there, well, then what's keeping you from going back? It's going to be a great time. This is presented by the City of Bessemer and Coca-Cola United. We're talking about the Bob Sykes Barbecue and Blues Festival this Saturday at DeBartolome Park. It's the 15th one. Come on.
And now, it's Dixon Inviting's top 3 things you need to know.
Horrible story coming to us out of Mobile, Alabama. An Alabama woman, her pregnant teenage daughter, and her 12-year-old son found brutally murdered in their home. Sheriff Paul Birch of Mobile County said deputies responded to a home in Wilmer just after 2:30 a.m. They discovered the 3 bodies in separate rooms, their hands tied behind their back. 46-year-old Lisa Gail Fields was stabbed. 17-year-old Kezia Ariona Luker was shot. And 12-year-old Thomas Cordell Jr. had his throat cut, was nearly decapitated. Sorry to break this news to you over breakfast. Right now, no leads, doesn't look like a domestic situation, but what in the hell is going on in Wilmer, down in Mobile? They say definitely more than one person involved because obviously they were subdued, and the place was a wreck, so it appears as though the people who were in there were looking for something.
Yeah, looking for something, and don't know, specifically if there was any kind of history between the perpetrators and these individuals in this robbery. Maybe there's some connect, because it seems kind of odd that there's nothing there. Did they live in the neighborhood? Were they down the street? Did they know the youngest one? Who knows what this is all about? But it's pretty brutal what happened.
We have very little information on the subject as it just happened at, 2:30 this morning is when they found them. The father of the children, by the way, worked on an oil rig. And if you know how that works, they're out 30 days, they're back 30 days. And so when he was unable to reach his wife, that was when he freaked out and he got in touch with authorities. And that's why they went over and did a wellness check. Actually, first he got in touch with family members who went over and looked and said, this ain't good. And they got law enforcement involved. And that is that. That is just a bizarre story coming out of Mobile. Hopefully we'll get more information as the day and days wear on. A China-linked route has been exposed now after the U.S. seized the Iran-bound ship with suspected dual-use cargo. This would be the ship that they had to blow a hole in because they were trying to break through our blockade. And the United States managed to grab this ship. And Iran says, by the way, our people didn't fight back because there were family members on board and they didn't want to.
Really? That's kind of odd.
Yeah.
You got family members
family
on
members
this?
on board.
That's very odd. The other thing that was seized, chemicals used to manufacture ballistic missiles.
Yeah.
Thank you, China, for helping out Iran in the middle of all of this. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think you were supposed to not be doing that.
I don't think you were supposed to do that.
Conversation. Are we surprised, though?
No, not at all.
No, not even
Not
a little
at
bit.
all.
When you get right down to it, China's a bunch of weasels, always have been. And they think anything that's going to hurt the United States is going to be better off for them. But, we've seized that one. We've seized another one. By the way, Iran is all bent out of shape about this. They're calling it piracy, et cetera, et cetera. We're like, hey.
We're in the middle of a war here.
Yeah,
That's what this
you're closing down the street.
Yep.
What are you doing? You
Yeah,
know?
and apparently on board of this ship, there were 5,000 containers on board, and they're going through all 5,000 of those containers to see what's in there. But apparently some civilian supplies, but then when you hear that you've got chemicals used to make ballistic missiles, you're like, oh, well, that kind of changes things. Were you trying to hide that in between all the stuff that you said that was for civilians to try to, cover it up? I imagine that was part of it.
I thought
So,
that we were supposed to be trying to get to the end of this thing.
doesn't look like it.
Doesn't seem to be the
No.
situation. And here's a really depressing story. Alabama's made some improvements in lowering rates of some sexually transmitted diseases over the last 3 years. But cases of one disease have jumped and are expected to keep rising. From 2022 to 2025, the rate of latent syphilis
Yikes.
went up by 58% in the state.
And you say, well, what's going on there? Apparently, people not getting treated for this.
No.
And there's a problem with drug supply.
I'm sure part of the problem here is that unless or until you see symptoms, you may not be aware that you have this.
I don't think it's going to go away.
Yeah,
You've got to
no.
get some penicillin and get it quick.
That's right. And get yourself a good, hefty dose just to be sure. Make sure you knock that thing out completely. And then, try to stay away from other people for I think a doctor will tell you it's got to be 30 or 60 days or something like that. You go like, yeah, and no alcohol. And there's a lot of
no things.
stuff that's involved in this. Don't ask me how I know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Pfizer apparently is the only drug maker in the U.S. that makes this, so we're having to get penicillin from other countries.
yeah.
And that's jacking up the price so high that some people are like, I can't afford that. So there's a little issue with that. So, maybe Pfizer, maybe some other drug company steps up and says, hey, we can make this.
Maybe let's churn some of that stuff out. Let's go.
That's part of the problem.
Chip, chop, chip. Maybe
$500 per dose. $500 per dose.
that's a little heavy.
But
I mean,
all I know is syphilis, or I'm coming up with $500.
Well,
I'm going to figure out how to come up with $500.
The problem is I spent all the money on the hooker that gave me the syphilis. That's why I don't have the money for
That's
the
part of the issue.
penicillin.
Oh,
If
Lord.
only.
Only you, Richard, would think of that.
Again, Pfizer is, they were the ones that came up with all the COVID vaccine. So they got a ton of that laying around. And you go, well, what good is that doing us now?
No.
Yeah.
Alabama needs a little help. Pfizer, could you move on the, some of the penicillin? Let's go chop chop.
Can you do some sort of conversion? Is there something that'll turn the COVID vaccine into penicillin? What is the story there? I will say that, how flu season is over is when I walk into Walgreens, the first question they ask me is no longer, do you want a flu shot? Because that was what it became. It became every time I went, do you want a flu shot? For the 97th time, no.
No, thank you.
Do you want a COVID shot? I don't want a COVID shot. They're free. It doesn't matter. Thank you for asking. I appreciate your interest in this matter, but no, I don't want any of those shots. I want to be left alone. How about that?
That'd be nice.
And give me my pills. The hell's taking you so long? Pfizer is, I don't know, part of the problem here, and I don't have the solution to this, and I don't think RFK Jr. has the solution to this. We have created a drug industry that is geared toward maximum profit. That is what interests them the most. Now I understand that, America's farmers are not like, I'm doing this because I want to feed the country. They're doing this because they want to feed their families, in the same way that people that go at work at the mill are doing that because they want to feed their families. I'm here because I like food and I want to eat my own food and I want to pay my mortgage. I do enjoy doing this, don't get me wrong. But our drug companies have reached the point where, you're dealing with, in some cases, life or death situations. Syphilis does kill people.
Yeah.
That's immediately after your nose falls off and you go crazy. I learned that from Candide.
No, thank you.
Voltaire.
I don't need any of that in my life.
But they're like, kind of like, well, there's no real money in penicillin, so we're not going to bother cranking that out. Let's make this other thing over here that has a really big markup on it, and we can charge, insurance companies for that. And you go, yeah, but what we need is penicillin. Yeah, but that doesn't pay us enough.
Great.
This
it's not about people, it's about profit.
Right. This would be like if McDonald's said, well, all the profits in the big arch, we're not getting any money out of the fries. So we're going to make fewer fries and not worry about that so
You're
much.
like,
And people
oh,
are
no,
like,
no,
well,
no, 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 no. Fries are your, that's one of your
fries,
staples.
fries is what we came for.
Yes.
That's what are you talking about? That's what we got to have. Yeah, but the arch is where the real money is, you know? It cost them 8 cents to make, and we sell them for $6, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether they're $6. I think
Once
they're probably
again,
more
know
than
what your
that.
product is and know that your product is important to your profit.
Well, yeah, you know, sometimes there is such a thing as a loss leader where you go, all right, we're going to sell penicillin at cost. And you remember, when you think health, you think Pfizer. Because right now, when we think Pfizer, we think grifters who, did their best to inject us all with deadly poison during the COVID crisis.
Once again,
Yeah.
the almighty dollar there,
Mhm.
Richard. The
That's-
almighty dollar.
And it was all paid for by the government, so it was your and my dollars.
Isn't that nice?
At that.
Doesn't that make you angry, everybody?
I'm not thrilled, I can
No.
tell you that right now.
Mm-mm.
It is Dixon Dividing on Talk 99.5 and Talk995.com. eTech Communications, etech.cc, their voice over internet protocol. They're going to save you a whole bunch of money. 2 phones to 200 phones, virtual assistants, call forwarding. They got the whole shebang, and it's less. What more could you ask for? etech.cc to find out more. They're down to like one dog now, aren't they? Are they? Single dog night. Doesn't have the same ring to it. Dixon Dividing, Talk 99.5, talk995.com. Today, 81 with sunny skies, partly cloudy. Tomorrow, 82, 83 on Thursday, 84 on Friday. Got a 10% chance of rain on Friday, and things get warmer and a little wetter on Saturday, but we're not sure exactly what time, so don't freak out. We'll get a little bit more info on that as the week wears on here. You know, it's a pretty good week to get out on a boat from Rodney's Marine. Find yourself on one of those Silverware Starcraft pontoons or tri-toons with the Suzuki Power and the 5-year warranty. Man, oh man, these things are beautiful, whether you're buying a new 26 or you're buying a used boat from Rodney's Marine. They all have the in-house financing available. They all have great low monthly payments, and every one of them's got that Suzuki engine on it.
Yeah, and the other thing is you've always got Rodney on your side. And what I mean by that, you're out on the lake, you're enjoying it, the wind's blowing through your hair, and you're zipping across the lake. Maybe you've had the boat a couple of years, and maybe there's something going on with the boat. You're not sure. There may not be anything, but hey, you can run it to Rodney's Marine there on Lake Logan, Martin, and Cropwell and have them check it out. Maybe you want to up-power your Suzuki engine, get something a little more powerful out there on the lake. If you have never experienced the lake life and you're thinking, yeah, that could be something really fun with our family, don't necessarily have to live out there. You know, you got the marina right there. Find out from Rodney if when you purchase the boat, if there's some room and valet the boat there, they'll put it in the water for you and take it out. Mm-hmm. Anything you need done to your boat, they're happy to help you with that. But just a great organization. And we know personally, because we've been out there, we've been out on his boats, and we know the service that he can provide from accessories to anything repair-wise that needs to be done. And it's good to know that when you purchase a boat, no worries, they'll take care of you. Rodney's Marine, Highway 231 on Lake Logan, Martin, in Cropwell, 525-1500. Call them today about maybe renting a boat for the weekend. Follow Rodney's Marine on Facebook and visit their website, rodneysmarine.com.
Love some Rodney. Let's do some cleanup from yesterday here. First off, I was not in pocket on Friday night. Was tied up doing other things, so I missed this story. We were talking yesterday about how we had a judge pop up last week and say, oh, you got to stop working on the ballroom. You got to stop it. You need to cease and desist all work on the ballroom. You're done. You need congressional approval for that, and you don't have it, and you can't build any more on the ballroom. And I said, this has been done before. We did this with a different judge.
Yeah, we've been down this road.
It went up, and it came back down again, and construction was able to continue. Sure enough, it went to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, and late Friday night, the judgment came just 24 hours after a lower court had continued to block the above-ground rebuild on the site. The ruling came down from the appeals court. No, of course he can do that. Stop it. Stop being stupid. Yes, he can build a ballroom there if he wants to.
Anything they can do to try to stop this president from accomplishing the goals that he sets out is really their operation.
Yes, it's just another one of these Trump deranged syndrome judges that is doing everything he can to throw a monkey wrench into the plans. I found out yesterday that in the first 100 years, like up until 2016, injunctions had been filed against presidential action, that is to say, executive orders or action of some kind by the president. There had been something like 27 injunctions.
Not too many. But
in
when it comes
all
to Trump,
of America.
Yeah.
There were 72 in his first term alone. Mm-hmm. 72.
That should tell you everything you need to know. Yeah, I heard the same thing yesterday. I was like, oh, my gosh.
This is why the Supreme Court put into this what they call fast tracking. Mm-hmm. When these things come up, the first thing they do is they go, no, we're going to assume right off the bat that's wrong, because this has become ridiculous and you guys are throwing these things around like nobody's business. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to allow him to continue doing what he does while we rule on the merits. But we're not going to stop it, because if we stop every single time some judge pops up and says, you have to stop doing that, nothing would ever get done.
That's exactly right.
And if you go back and look at the assessment of these things, like 95% of the time, Trump wins. Mm-hmm. So they say, oh, look, he's got all these injunctions against him. Look at how they turned out. In the long run, he beats the court system. These judges are wrong. Boasberg has been overturned like every single time he says something, he gets overturned. It's embarrassing at this point.
It is, but I don't think Boasberg cares.
He
All he
doesn't-
cares is that this is taking up time.
Right.
He doesn't, even if he knows going into it he's going to fail
Mm-hmm.
at what he does, he'll do it anyways because it'll slow Donald Trump down.
Yeah.
That's really where he is. And
it's
that's
sad.
really sad as a judge because
is.
that's not a very good judge.
No, you're a terrible judge.
Yeah.
At that point, you have to just kind of question every bit of this guy's judgment. You should also question my reading ability because I was looking at the article yesterday, and I must have said 5 times that Kash Patel was suing Axios over the excessive drinking report. It was the Atlantic. It wasn't Axios. It was the Atlantic. I literally was looking directly at the story that I'm looking at right now. It says clearly on it, the Atlantic. I must have said Axios 5 times. I don't know why.
Well, you've corrected yourself now, sir. Thank
Yes.
you.
Well, here's the thing that gets me about it, and I was thinking about this last night when I realized my mistake. The Atlantic, as we've noted before, is owned by Steve Jobs' widow. Okay? Steve Jobs' widow inherited billions of dollars from Steve. The Atlantic is not designed to make money. It's not. She doesn't care whether she makes a profit off of it or not, which is good because she doesn't. She spends money to hire anti-Trump reporters to write stories like the one on Kash Patel, which they cited 24 unnamed sources who said he's so drunk all the time that he can't even do his job, and they can't wake him up sometimes, and they had to use breaching equipment to get into his hotel room once because he was so drunk he couldn't wake up, and blah, blah, blah. Again, not a single name source. And I thought, wait a minute. This is somewhat reminiscent of another story that The Atlantic wrote many years ago. It was the suckers and losers story. Remember the suckers and losers
Remember
story?
that? Yeah, that really
This
got some
one,
legs and took off.
this one was from the Atlantic back. I want to say it was the 75th anniversary of D-Day. Is that what it was? It was some time ago. I mean, it was long enough ago that and it was supposedly he was in Normandy. And did not make it to the cemetery. There was a number of reasons for that. Number one, if he had taken a motorcade, it would have really screwed up traffic in an area that's already pretty difficult to get around in. And they were supposed to take the helicopter, but the way that the storm was, the Marine One people were like, we're not comfortable flying you, Mr. President. We don't feel good about this. So he said, okay, I'd like to go. I want to lay the wreath, but I guess that's not going to happen. The Atlantic writes a story that says Donald Trump didn't care. He didn't want to go. He begged off because he said only suckers and losers die for their country. Now, anybody who knows Donald Trump knows that that is not the way he thinks. He went to a military school when he was younger. Mm-hmm. He visits veterans in the hospital all the time. Does not make a big deal out of it, by the way. He's very big on Gold Star families. He absolutely loves and supports our veterans beyond question. But I started thinking about it, and I said, okay, so how long ago was that story? That has to have been, D-Day was 1941, right? Mm-hmm. 41?
Yeah.
D-Day was 44.
44,
Pearl
excuse
Harbor
me.
was 41.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. D-Day was 44. Brain fog. So if you add the 75 years to that, we're talking about 2019, I'm going to guess. It was about 2019.
About that?
Yeah. So that was 7 years ago.
Right?
7 years ago now. That article cited, again, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 unnamed sources who said, I heard him say that. There's yet to be a single person who has been able to step forward and verify that and put their name on it. Now, people will say, oh, Mark Milley did. No, he didn't. Mark Milley said, yeah, it sounds like something he would say. And if he did say it, it's reprehensible. But at no point did Mark Milley ever say, I was there and I heard him say that, which is what people would like to try to convince you of. So let me ask you this. Of the supposed 20 people who were there and heard the remarks, how many of those people are still in government? How many people are still working for Trump? How many people are still in his circle? You got to figure at least some of them are no longer involved, right?
You would think
Out
that.
of 20 people who were supposedly in the room and heard him say that, there's got to be 5, maybe 8 who no longer have anything to do with Donald Trump. How come they won't come forward and put their name on that story? Why will they not say?
True,
Yeah,
because it's,
of course not.
It's fake. It's fake news.
Yeah, they will. They can't.
They're not going to.
There's no single person who is willing to come forward and say, "I was in the room. I heard him say that. Here's my name. Here's my address. Here's what role I played."
But guess
because
what?
it didn't happen.
But the problem with again, we've said this with whether it's print, whatever it may be. They say it, they throw it out there, they run with it and run with it and run with it until somebody says, he didn't say that. And then they start backing up and everybody gets quiet.
Oh, you can
it's
find-
already out there.
Oh, yeah.
Now you've already tarnished, and to try to get that back is nearly impossible.
Look, Joe Biden
And
was
that's the world we live in
still
now.
quoting this in 2024.
Yeah,
Joe Biden was still claiming that this was a real story. It had long been dispelled. Many, many people who were with him in Normandy said, not only did he not say that, he would never say that. I know him well enough to know that that is not the way he feels at all. But the Atlantic didn't care. The Atlantic made a story up, claimed a bunch of unnamed sources, and now they've done the same thing with Kash Patel. The difference is it's very difficult for a sitting president to sue somebody over something like this. You are a public figure. You are open to ridicule, and you would have to prove malice aforethought. You would have to prove, there's a lot of stuff you have to prove in a court of law. Reason he was able to win against people like George Stephanopoulos and 60 Minutes is because, A, he wasn't president at the time those things were said, okay? And secondly, in both cases, there was some sort of business deal going on behind the scenes, and so both of their companies said, we got to settle this, or this is going to screw up the deal. So they came up with settlements to pay the president X amounts of money. Kash Patel doesn't have to live by those rules. Kash Patel can sue the pants off the Atlantic. The only thing that bugs me about this is, if he does, in fact, win his $250 million lawsuit, it would be like you or me having to give somebody $5.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll get $250 million, but,
it doesn't really hurt them, and they'll continue to do what they're doing.
Steve Jobs' widow is going to be like, oh, here, do you want that in cash, or how do you want that? I got a suitcase right here.
That's the bad part. You want it to hurt. When you sue somebody and you win, you're doing that, you tried to tarnish my reputation. I'm going to work to get that back. And at the same time, I'm going to sue you, I'm going to win, and you're going to owe me money, and that's going to stop you, hopefully, from ever doing it again. But there's no punishment here.
No.
Because, again, the money is endless.
She's got so much money, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It should hurt to the point where, like, Alex Jones having to give up his network. That's what I'm talking about. That's what you're looking for. Is you don't necessarily have to be destitute, but it should hurt. And there's nothing you can do to Steve Jobs' widow that's really going to hurt her financially, sadly. 648 with Dixon inviting there. Enough about that. Flipsy's Furniture, 1811 Crestwood Boulevard. Beautiful Arondale. And, of course, next to 2nd and Charles on Highway 31 in Hoover, if you're looking for great furniture at low prices, this is where you want to be. It's designer furniture. It's wholesale prices. And they have white glove delivery, and they've got 12 months, same as cash. And in their Irondale store, they've got 28,000 square feet of showroom. You can get lost in there. Go lipsysfurniture.com. Check out their website first. See what there is to see. Once you find the things that you kind of go, I want to see these in person, then you make the trip over there. Otherwise, it can be overwhelming. And even then, you still may decide on something that you didn't look at on the web, because once you see it in person, you can't help yourself. Truly wonderful stuff at Flipsy's Furniture with 2 locations. Next to 2nd and Charles on Highway 31 in Hoover, the Hoover-centric location, and 1811 Crestwood Boulevard in Irondale. And, of course, online at flipsysfurniture.com. .653. Dixon Dividing Talk 99.5, talk995.com. A couple of texts here with Dixon Dividing. Blake says, why don't the Iranian government take out the IRGC? If the government wants to make a deal and the IRGC don't want a deal, why not take out the IRGC? I don't know. Why doesn't the Catholic Church take out the Italian army? Oh, right. One of them has guns and the other one is a religious organization. Yeah, that's why, Blake.
Yeah, can't do that.
No, you're dealing with the mullahs, who are the supposed holy men, versus the guys with the guns, who I don't know how holy the IRGC is. I know they can make you holy very quickly.
Yes, they could.
Yeah, that's the problem with disarming your populace, is that soon they don't have anything to work with. Let's see, Anthony, for some reason, tells me that condoms are a lot cheaper. Cheaper than what? What are you trying to say?
The treatment for syphilis.
Ah, there you go. Yes, that would probably be true.
Back on that conversation. You're like, oh, that's nice to know. Thank you for that.
Dave sends us this one. Heard this yesterday. Trump has quietly put $500 million into upsizing it for military tribunals that started the 1st of February. The episode had General Blan Holt, how opened up the documenting of the trials that already have 200 members of the swamp. The other guest, a Captain Chaplin, who I think is Catholic because of his understanding of the year of Jubilee. Why the tribunals are already underway. Eyes on Gitmo. This is the Genesis Communication Network. I used to work for those guys. I actually used to have a show on the Genesis Communication Network. Can I tell you something? Whack jobs. Complete and utter whack jobs. And of course, this is all about QAnon. And you talk about an organization that really doesn't care whether or not they're telling you the truth.
This would be it.
Genesis Communications and QAnon are about as far afield as you can get. I would say they're right in there with Candace Owens when it comes to, people who are, well, Alex Jones was a perfect example of a member of Genesis. He was actually kind of the driving force behind Genesis Communications Network. He was their flagship show. And this is, again, a guy who claimed that Sandy Hook was a false flag operation, and it ended up costing him billions in his entire, basically, career. Mm-hmm. Well done.
And you would think he would know better.
You would think.
Yeah, and somehow he got sucked in and went down that road.
He'd gotten away with this stuff for the longest time. I mean, when I was working with them, swine flu was all the rage. And Alex and almost anybody else on that communications network was claiming that they were when you got the vaccine, they were putting a chip in your body, a tracking chip in your body. And I'm like, no, they're not. The reason Genesis wanted me on the station is because they were trying to mainstream. They wanted to try to get away from that whole your hazmat suit and your, Patriot food supply and buy your gold and all that stuff. End of times. Because as far as these people were concerned, and that was 20 years ago? I mean, we're talking about 2010, at least 2009. Almost 20 years ago. The world was going to end any minute. I mean, it was as good as done. You may as well just get in your bunker because it's over as far as they're concerned. And, of course, here we are, all these years later. They're still advertising that. They're still selling that.
Well, you know
That's
what,
still
Richard?
What they
it's
have.
on the way.
It's on any minute. Day. Any minute now.
Any second. Prepare. Get
absolutely.
ready.
Yeah. Dave, stop listening to Genesis. They're morons over there. That's really frightening and disturbing. Sorry. Hate to be the one to break it to you. Nearly 80 students were forced to perform continuous whistle-driven push-ups for an entire class period, 45 minutes or more, without water, rest, or breaks. This was done by the head football coach at Texas Leadership Charter Academy in San Angelo. 20 of these students ended up being hospitalized.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Apparently, they were there was a fairly serious kidney disease. Damaged muscle tissue releases proteins into the bloodstream, which can cause kidney and organ damage. Many of these kids showed up the next day, were unable to lift their arms to eat, and were still forced to do push-ups again on day 2.
Oh, that's awful. I mean, that's abuse beyond abuse.
No question. When children collapsed, the coaches ordered them to get up and continue. When children cried out in pain, the coaches mocked them for being weak. When children begged to stop, the coaches blew whistles and demanded more. The gymnasium doors were closed, the children were trapped, and not one adult in that building lifted a finger to help them. This case is about adults who torture children, says the lawsuit. By the way, it has to do with 4 coaches who are no longer with the program. That speaks volumes right there, by the way. That there are 4 coaches who are like, we let them go, and 2 coaches who have been reassigned. And you're like,
they don't do things like this in the military. I mean, you stop and we know how dangerous it is just on a football field during practice that you've got to have water to replenish yourself. But to make them do push-ups for days,
an entire class period, and then again the next day.
that's 45, 50 minutes of push-ups.
Yeah. And I think this is what happens when you have people in charge of either your football program or your athletic program who don't really understand physiology and the human body. You can't do that, guys.
Extremely dangerous, yeah.
Congratulations. You may have caused permanent kidney damage in some of these kids. And you probably cost that school a lot of money because I think they're going to lose this lawsuit.
I think they will, too.
And then your reputation is going to be tarnished from this point on, all because you did this without bothering to stop and think, wait, this might be a bad idea.
It's a terrible idea. And a lot of people not going to be sending their kids there.
Oh, complete nut jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Complete nut jobs. What were you thinking? 7 o'clock with Dixon and Vining. If you got something to say it. 545-9950. You can call us. You can text us. We got some tickets to the Barbecue and Blues Festival coming up this Saturday on the way. We'll do that in the next couple of hours as well. Plus 3 things you need to know about and rating pickles.